at dinner we were talking a little bit about Murray Ryder. Tell me a little bit about that deal and how it worked.
Bill had called on Murray many, many times and never got an order. So he called him one day and he said, how could I go about selling you? And he said, invite me to Chicago. Show me where you work. Show me the companies you represent there. And I'd like to see them. I'd like to see what you do. I'm interested in families. So he came, spent the day with Bill.
I took the train up.
Took the train in, and we decided we didn't have any money then. So for dinner, we are going to take him to a restaurant called Fanny's, which was in Evanston, and it was dry. You could bring your own liquor.
So you could save money by doing that.
Absolutely. The prices were, it was near Northwestern University. The prices were low, but it was a very nice, friendly restaurant. 2 days before he arrived, he said, make sure when I come to leave room to go to the Palmer House, to my favorite Chinese restaurant. So that was the end of Fanny's. He came in. My mother-in-law was here from California, and she said to Bill, you're taking him out. You're taking him to the Palmer House. He hasn't placed one order. I can't understand that. Well, Bill spent the day with him. In the evening, we took him to the Palmer House. We had a very lovely time. And he left.
Okay.
Bill came home. My mother-in-law said, did he place an order? Bill said, no, that takes time. 3 days later, when she was going home, we stopped at our post office box to see if there was any mail. She was with us, and there were 2 envelopes stacked this high with orders from her.
Okay.
He purchased something from every factory that Bill represented. And he became a lifelong friend after that, besides a wonderful customer.
And it had to be pretty tough going to friends and family borrowing money.
Well, it was survival. I mean, I had no choice. My father, who was not poor, asked me a question is, what do you want the money as a son, or do you want it as a businessman? And my pride wouldn't let me say as a son. I said I would like it as a businessman. He said, well, then I can't give you the money because you don't have any collateralized assets that I can secure the money with. And so I practically cut off one of my mainstream financial resources. And then it was my father-in-law, friends.
My parents' friends.
Your parents' friends. But they had enough confidence in me that they felt pretty secure in giving me the money.
And even customers.
Tell me about that station wagon you guys bought and the down payment and what you had to do.
Well, in those days, you had to put down a certain percentage before they would allow you to buy the car. So when we went to the dealer and picked out the station wagon, when we put it all together, I didn't have enough cash to come up with the third that was required. So we started taking things off the car, which we took out the heater. And didn't realize that with the heater gone, I didn't have a defroster either.
And this is Chicago.
This is Chicago. And my kids then learned that their first job was to go in and scrape the windows. Everybody had an assignment to scrape the windows when we didn't have a garage either. We didn't have an indoor garage.
Okay.
It was pretty much an interesting situation because I didn't have any heat in the car. And I'll remember the rest of my life, I met Sheldon Stiegel of Hub Electric in Wisconsin. We were going up to Fort Atkinson because they were a very large customer for starters. And we're coming back, and it's getting cool. It's
an autumn month.
October or November, and he's looking around on the dashboard to find something to turn the heat on. So I had a blanket back there, and I reached back and I said, Sheldon, this is the heater, and I put the he looked at me as if at total amazement that I would be driving in a car that didn't have a heater, etc. So we never forget those because it makes us appreciate where we are today.
And I'm going to just zoom out a little bit and get this Shahui chandelier up there.
That's a far cry from the heater.
Yeah,
Wow.
That Shahui
beautiful.
cost us more than 3 cars.
I'm sure.
Right.
I'm sure. So what would you say your first year, annual sales?
Oh, let's see. If my commission was 5%, maybe,
No.
maybe. I did.
What you brought home, the income you brought home.
Oh, what I brought home? Probably in $5,000 to $6,000 range.
So maybe $20,000 or $30,000 in sales.
No, at a 5% commission would be about $100,000.
So $100,000.
Mhm.
And may I ask what you did in 2011?
Well, close to 400 million.
Wow.
But that's ALP and the Bill Brown Sales Factory. Tomorrow is the first day of the rest of your life. And I believe very definitely that you have to commit yourself to being the best you could be every first day in the rest of your life.
Well, and I also think we're both very optimistic people. Even at our age, we still plan for the future.
And even in those early days when you couldn't afford a heater in your car, you were optimistic.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Well, when you're young, I think you can be optimistic about anything.
Well, you got your health. You know, we have been blessed. I told you, my father was an old-fashioned guy. And my father wanted to know, because I was a very young man, he was very impressionable. I got married at 21, so you have to know that I was very young. And he said to me, how do you know that she's healthy? My father would say, came from a farm community near Minsk in Ukraine. And so I took her to the dentist. And to have
Like
her,
I had never been.
to have her teeth checked. And the dentist was a friend of mine, said, you know, Bill, her teeth are perfect. It's your teeth that's a problem. He said, I'm a friend of yours, so I'm not going to tell her about your teeth.
That's great.
So, I mean, we had those little stories, I think, are very human. And I think they're very typical of who we are. And our friends are the same friend. The same friend that introduced us is still our best friend today. This place, Hibernia, is where they say man and nature meet. And I've always lived in the city. I've always been a cliff dweller. And so when I moved into a home, I realized that that's what I really like. And I love my home.
And you've been here how many years?
17 years.
And married how many years?
62.
Well, I don't think we forgot our past. And I'm proud of it. You know, it was a good past.